Hey everybody. Uh, if you're here, I'm assuming that you are looking for a little bit of a better explanation for the boss fights in this new Emerald Nightmare raid. It's a really cool raid. Uh, this being the first boss, I'll put a little disclaimer out real quick. I will be making a video for all the bosses, hopefully before next week, the second week of raiding, so that way if you need it, you can look it up and get the mechanics explained to you a little bit in more detail and from every point of view. Sometimes it's just explained from a tank, DPS, or healer point of view. So let's get at it real quick here. This is Nythendra. It's a dragon. You're going to walk into a fairly large room and you're going to see a dragon just sleeping there. It's going to be some oozes around it. You kill the oozes, you pull the boss. This is the easiest boss ever. I mean, it kind of reminds me of Atumen the Huntsman when he was put in Kara, how that boss everyone could do. You should be able to kill this boss. Uh, if you're here, you probably just want to know the mechanics a little better. You probably didn't have trouble killing the boss, and this boss is actually so easy. I'll actually explain the heroic mechanic as well. It's only really one extra mechanic and more damage and health. So first of all, we'll start with stage one. There will be infested ground. Just for the purposes of this, any this green yellow color, that's corruption, infested ground, whatever you want to call it. It's poison. You don't stand in it. That's all that is. Infested ground, you take damage when you stand in the infested ground. It's that simple. Infested breath is exactly what you think it is. It's a breath attack that the senator does, and you can avoid it. You don't stand in the breath. So real easy so far, right? Rot. This is the first mechanic that you actually have to do something. When you have rot, and this is the true purpose of these circles out here, when you have rot, you will have to run to the outside of the raid and you will drop it at pool under your feet. What's important about this is if you could keep them somewhat grouped up, there'll be a lot more than 7 rots during phase 1, but if you can keep them somewhat grouped up, that'll help make phase 2 even easier than it already is. So if you could go ahead and just drop your rots kind of close together, designate that beforehand, you'll be fine. Get out of it. Don't stand in it. And then volatile rot, that's just a tanking mechanic. Um, one of the tanks will basically get this volatile rot on them. They'll get big, and they have to run out of the raid, actually. And so then there'll be a tank swap there. It's actually really easy. If you have any trouble with that, you're just going to designate where your tank's running to, so that way your healers can keep them up. And then you have stage 2, just basically Heart of the Swarm. Basically, all these rots that you dropped earlier are going to start making their way towards the boss. So let's say you were able to drop all of them somewhere in the top half here. You could stand over here freely, except for one thing. You might be asking, what are these little insects? It will be little insects on the ground. Some of them will swell up and start casting this explosion thing. Again, it's just more corruption. You don't stand in it, that's all. So let's say you got them all up here. You're over here. Just don't stand in the bugs and you won't take any damage. And then after Heart of the Swarm, you just go back to phase 1 again. This is by far the easiest fight. Very easy mechanics because all you do is not stand in things and do a tank swap. I did say I'll throw in the heroic mechanic because it is easy, and if you killed it on regular, I promise you can probably kill it on heroic and possibly mythic. But I'll just give you the heroic mechanic, and that is just when you take any damage from any of these abilities, from any of these corruption, poison abilities, infested abilities, whatever, you'll actually get a stack, and I think it is called something corruption. You'll get a debuff on you, and that debuff will stay on you until the end of phase 2. So you're just basically going to make your healers work more on heroic if you're getting hit by anything. So you just want to make sure you don't get hit by anything. Drop your rots properly. Don't stand by bugs. Don't stand in a breath. Tanks, do your tank switch. It's really simple, guys. That's all I can say about it. There's nothing more than that. I don't even know how people need this fight explained, but it's possible that someone might need it explained. Maybe a DPS who's living is dying on heroic. I don't know. That being said, if you could just go ahead and click subscribe. I have a lot of WoW content, and I will keep putting out more. You guys have a great day.